Marty,
Wow.
I have two. I know we're taking up over a half hour past how much we asked of you, and I have two bullet points that I hope you don't mind closing on, and then giving us any last thoughts or asking us any questions that you might have before we close. One is, and you probably answered this up front, but it's something that we ask all our, the folks that we interview. What is your number one wellness habit?
What is my number one
Wellness habit?
Oh, wellness habit.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Because
You mentioned
people
hiking. So I don't know if that was. You mentioned hiking at the beginning, so I thought maybe that was a good clue in terms of, practices you've adopted.
Okay, boy, you're going to be doing a lot of editing on this part of it because I'm having trouble with the habit part. But the one thing I'm obsessed about is doing whatever it takes to keep my weight appropriate. And that has been an obsession for a long time because it really, think about it, it embraces a whole bunch of habit forming things. How much I eat, how much I exercise, and like that. Yeah. So I'm worried about the habit part because I'm not that crazy about hiking.
Okay.
Mostly because I really, the thing that I enjoy most about hiking is that I do on my hikes with my colleagues is just exactly what we're doing here.
Nice.
And I don't even remember the hiking part, but this morning I did hike 3 miles, something more than that. And it was very hard. There are some days when you're in you're nodding your head, you have no idea.
I'm a personal trainer as well, and I work with a lot of people on balance and stability and standing up and sitting down. So it's definitely a wellness thing that I'm passionate about, as well as keeping people mobile for as long as they can.
No, so number one, I do lift weights 3 times a week.
Wow.
I look for any excuse to get out of doing it, but I feel very bad if I don't. So I don't know if you call that a habit, but I have a belief that any part of your being that is not exercise will deteriorate.
Love it. My dad says use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I say that all the time.
The hard part about that is we are really complicated mechanisms. And so doing a bunch of exercises and getting strong arms is not going to do much for your legs. You've got to get all the muscles in your body. And it's such a complicated body. How do you do all those things? And so if I extrapolate that to my mind, which is orders of magnitude more complicated than my body is, we know where all the muscles and nerves are in the body. We have no idea even how the brain, we have some ideas about how the brain works, but we really don't understand it at all. But think about that if you don't exercise your brain in all the different ways that it can be exercised, you're going to lose those things.
Thanks,
I know there's evidence, and that's the most important thing. So we finally got to the answer to your question. Exercising my brain,
nice,
and continuing to think is the most important part of my life.
And sorry.
And it's evidence based. It's not just an opinion, because I learned many, many years ago from a study that was done at Princeton. Somebody invented a machine, really simple box that I'm not going to try to describe it, but it changed the perspective so that when you tried to figure out how to use this box, you had to relearn things that you already know. So they now had a measure of somebody's learning ability. And so they took this machine and they went out to the town of Princeton and they did a whole category of people because now they could get correlations, right? And the first thing they correlated was that the older you got, the lower your learning ability was. That when you got to the age of 40 or 50 or so, your learning ability crashed. And then somebody had the idea of, let's go measure Einstein, who happened to have been there. And it turns out that his learning ability correlated with an 8-year-old
Wow.
of the other measurements they've made. So they finally got a more general audience, and they discovered that what they had measured was the people that they measured in Princeton who stayed there were the people that had pretty much were satisfied with their lives. They were not trying to improve their lives in any way. They were the people, and the people who had energetic minds.
Wow.
Kids would leave Princeton and go do something else. So when they measured a wide variety of people, they discovered that the correlation was how much you exercise your mind. Mm. So that has been a fundamental part of my life. But then I discovered how complicated the mind is and how many different ways of thinking there are. So when I sit in my hot tub at night, which I do quite frequently, I do one of three things. Number one, I fantasize. Number two, I solve problems. Like right. And number three, I sing.
Wow.
So I don't know if you guys do that, but it turns out
that as well.
Yeah, there's evidence that the music, that there's a part of your mind that is exercised when you are engaged in. So I don't know what I've left out of my life, but I'm somehow managed with those things.
And Einstein used to play the violin, right? And I know he has a quote on imagination too. So I think he feels the same way about fantasy and leaving some freedom of thought.